Hi everyone, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Assalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain amma ba'du. I'm Faradina Aprila from second group, and I wanna explain about our title. Our title is Elizabeth Period, Edmund Spencer, Poetry, Elizabeth Lyric, and Prose, Sir Philip Sidney. Okay, first I will explain about Elizabeth literature. Body of works during the reign of Elizabeth I of England at 1553 until 1603. Probably the most splendid age of this story of English literature, such the writer Edmund Spencer, Sir Philip Sidney, and William Shakespeare flourish. Okay, first I will explain about Elizabeth period. The Elizabeth period lasted in 1550 until 1620. Queen Elizabeth ascended the throne towards the end of 1558. Elizabeth was a wise queen. He managed to solve important problems such as religion, peace with Scotland, the inauguration, the national government, and achievements such as international trade, strength at the sea, and victories over the Spanish. Elizabeth's time in the world of English literature, known as the Golden Age. Literature experienced a peak of development during the reign of Elizabeth. In Elizabeth, all doubts seem to disappear from history of British society. After the reign of Edward and Mary, with defeat and moral destruction aboard, the change in reigns of royal was like sunrise after a long night. Okay, Elizabethan literature refers to bodies of work produced during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, and is one of the most splendid age of English literature. Elizabeth I presided over a vigorous culture that saw notable accomplishment in the arts. Voyages of discovery, the Elizabethan settlement, the creation of Crown of England, and the defeat of military threats from Spain. The age is considered as the Golden Age in the history of English literature. It was the age of Queen Elizabeth I, 1558 until 1603, comprising the half of 6th century. It was an age in which the mind of people was set free from trammels of medievalism, from fear of religious persecution, from fear of poverty and starvation, and from the fear of foreign invasion. It was an era of social, political, and religious peace. Men were now free to devote themselves to art and literature. It was also an era of great adventures, travel, and discovery which fired the imagination of the people and impelled them to creative activity. It's therefore called a golden age of English literature. The Elizabeth age extends from 1558 until 1603, can be divided into two periods. The first one may be called Age of Spencer, 1558 until 1579. The second may be called Age of Shakespeare, that is 1578 until 1603. Okay, now next title is Edmund Spencer, 1552 until 1599. Charles Lamb, who called Spencer the poet's poet, and in giving him the honored title, the Prince of English Essayists, was not wrong. Spencer is regarded as the poet's poet and the second father of English poetry. Culture being the father because Spencer rendered incalculable service to English poetry in a variety of ways and left behind him model of poetic excellence to be imitated and followed by a host of poets who came in his wake. In Spencer poetry we have the best and finest over in the works of the subsequent poets. The poetic faculty in Spencer is so abundantly and predominantly present that we cannot think of any other post Spencer to occupy the pride of place among English poets. The main poetical works of Edmund Spencer there is Shepherd's Calendar, the Four Hymns, Mother Husband Tale, the Complaints, the Amoriti, the Epithalamion, and the masterpiece, The Faerie Queene. The Faerie Queene is a great work of which Spencer famous. The original plan of the poet included 24 books. The plot of the poem is rather complicated and obscure, but the main aim of the poet becomes moral edification through an allegorical device. Externally, the Faerie Queene has the plot of an epic. Internally, it is rich pictorial qualities, music, and wonderful rich imagination. The Faerie Queene is really the masterpiece of Spencer. Okay, the next title is Elizabethan lyric poetry. Poetry is a type literature based on the interplay of words and rhythm. It often employs rhythm and meter, a set of rules governing the number and arrangement of syllables in each line. In poetry, words are strung together of form sounds, images, and ideas that might be too complex for abstracts to describe directly. Poetry was once written according to fairly strict rules of meters and rhythm, and each culture had its own rules. In Elizabeth period, his literary works were classified as romantic. This was evidenced by the use of fresh language, still influenced by classical and Italian literary works. Also, still following the conscience, some of the most famous books in this period were first Edmund Spencer. Edmund Spencer published a collection of his poems which marked the beginning of the Elizabeth period. The collection poems is called the Shepherd's Calendar, like what I said. And in the second, Thomas Shakespeare, famous for his works entitled The Mirror of Magistrates, which describe the lives of rules in that era. The three is Earl of Essex, apart from the kingdom with his work entitled To Peel My Fate. And the last, as for works not yet mentioned in Elizabeth period, including George Gascoigne about a courtier and soldier who bridged the gap between Surrey and Sydney, Sir Edward Dyer about a scholar and statements author of one perfect lyric, My Mind to Me a Kingdom, is John Lilly, the Upist and dramatist, Nicholas Breton, a prolific writer in verse and prose, one of the most successful poets of the pastoral style, Robert Southwell, a Jesuit intriguer of ardent piety, finally imprisoned, tortured, and executed as a traitor. Okay, we enter to the last title, that is Prose of Sir Philip Sidney, 1554 until 1586. Prose is a type of writing that is distinguished from poetry because of the greater variation in rhythm it has, and the language that is more in line with the lexical meaning. The word prose comes from the Latin pros, which means frankly. Philip Sidney was the chief of elegant courtesy and exercised an influence which was almost supreme during his short life. His first finest achievement in poetry was Astropel and Stella, a collection of 108 love sonnets. The sonnet of Sidney, passion for Penelope, who has by the time the wife of Lord Rich. The publication of Astropel and Stella at once caught the imagination of the people and gave rise to the vogue of the sonnet. Everybody tried his hand in mostly of the Elizabeth sonnets. These sonnets, which owe much to Petrarch and Ronsard in tone and style. The revival, a true lyric emotion found in a language that delicately Arabic. Sidney is this literary figure between Wyatt and Spencer. Okay, until here my speech, and the last, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.